Representative Ro Khanna has been one of the more forceful progressives in the media, calling out Sinema and Manchin, and I think appreciated it. I think a lot of people here have appreciated it, because while it's a delicate situation, you still need the truth to be communicated with the public. And Ro Khanna has done that quite effectively. Here he is with Chris Wallace discussing this new development that Senator Sinema is, for some, I should call her that,
She's
right?
Sensitive about that.
Because she is sensitive about that, exactly. Representative Congresswoman Sinema, just kidding, Senator Sinema. She's apparently on board for this billionaire's tax instead of any increase on corporations and the wealthy in terms of tax rates. Even though she voted against the Trump tax cuts, now she's against repealing them in order to pay for these new programs. But Kanna points all of this out in a conversation with Chris Wallace.
Wealthy Americans, those making more than $400,000, and on corporations, there is suddenly talk of a wealth tax on about 700 billionaires. Are you willing to vote for that without any real testing or vetting?
I do think a wealth tax makes sense, Chris. And as I mentioned, I think last time I was on, it would be paid largely by people in my district, Silicon Valley billionaires. Our wealth has gone up 40% during the pandemic, $11 trillion of market cap in our area. They can afford to pay a wealth tax. But I guess my question for Senator Sinema is, she voted against the Trump tax cuts, and I just don't understand why she's not willing then to raise some of the rates back to what they were before the bill she voted against was, and she hasn't explained it to anyone.
But that was then. That's when we weren't in power. And now that we're in power, I have to wield it on behalf of the people that pay my bills.
And let's be real, it didn't need her vote, so it wasn't even really a question. If it needed her vote, maybe it would have been a different story.
Exactly. It's another example of why you can't trust where everybody votes, right?
It's not a window to the soul.
Yes, we had this conversation about Medicare for all, I recall, earlier in the year.
I like Chris Wallace. Like, you'd support a billionaire's tax without any vetting? Like, yes. Absolutely, 100% of the time, without even reading past the first line. Like,
Point
this is a
blank.
billionaire's test? Yes.
Because in a healthy society, billionaires should not exist, but they do. And so a small tax on their extra capital gains, it might even be what's liquid, is certainly something I would say yes to in 2 seconds without any vetting. But this is just like a reminder of how limited our politics are here. This is, of course, a part of Elizabeth Warren's idea, right? It's downstream from her wealth tax concept. And that's fine as a supplement. But the fact that Sinema is embracing this goes to show that those kinds of proposals, you could call them technocratic, are very limited. And a comprehensive tax code that goes after the wealthy directly and under a large tent is a lot scarier to people, which is why Sinema is in favor of this. And it's not even gonna raise a lot of money. Estimates are show that this billionaire tax will only raise a couple billion over 10 years. So it also sheds light on how much of this pay-for obsession is complete BS. We knew this already, but the veil with which the veil that Sinema hides behind is that everything needs to be paid for. Same with Manchin. This billionaire tax raises a lot less money than anything than repealing a lot of the Trump tax cuts would. So this is, I think, illustrative in a variety of ways. But I'm not picking on Warren here, but you can see the fork in the road between a kind of Sanders-like politics and a Warren-like politics here. And these are the kinds of proposals that get floated and that get approved when you just try to make well-intentioned tweaks to the system and ones that play well, right? It's not going to have any substantive effect. And because you have conservative Democrats like this who are insisting on these pay-fors, and there are a lot of conservative Democratic senators who are hiding behind Sinema and Manchin, like Mark Warner, who are happy to have them take the public heat, but actually oppose these kinds of things behind the scenes. We're not going to get a lot of the programs that we want. I mean, the climate provision has been whittled down to almost nothing because Joe Manchin has demanded that it be gone. And there are a lot of things that hang in the balance currently. We're unsure how it's going to play out, but this is where we're at. You can't even, in today's Senate, when the Democrats control it, you can't even repeal the Trump tax cuts. And again, it is a failure of the Biden administration and the Democratic Party to not have been marketing this from the beginning as a way to repeal the Trump tax cuts. Putting Trump in the title and drumming up that negative partisanship would have done wonders for this. And now Sinema and Manchin are just running the show.
We see it with the way that they say, certain Democrat will say, it's a shameful that Republicans are stopping in front of this measure. Still, was as they control Congress. Like, it doesn't work. Yeah,
there's nothing to hide behind. And so these kinds of things, and it's the same reason that Sinema could vote for vote against the Trump tax cuts and now support upholding them.
And it really is like the difference between Biden and FDR, and the FDR, like hate me, like whatever, like I don't care if you guys don't support me. The economic royalists, as he called them. Biden, it is like people say that it was overinterpreted. The nothing will fundamentally change, but it wasn't. It was he was speaking from the heart there, and whatever context you want to add to it, that fundamentally is what he meant.
Do you think that those think pieces about him being the next FDR might have been a little premature?
I think they were a currying favor.
Well, I would happen to agree. All right, folks, we are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, you will be blessed by Sam Seder and this wonderful interview with Marcia Chalatin, author of Franchise: The Golden Arches in Black America. We will be right back.